Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our 21 Next. I'm Kennedy Miller. We are going to be inviting Grace Miller. She's our digital content producer this morning. She's been working on a pretty important piece regarding the Amish population in our community. So we know that research shows that Pennsylvania's Amish population is the biggest it's ever been, but it's also causing some families to move farther west. So Grace, I know that you spoke to an Amish expert. You also spoke to a director at Elizabethtown College. So kind of give us a breakdown of what they told you. Why are these families picking up their things and moving farther west?
Yeah, so it kind of all stems back from this bigger population, is what I was told, by Elizabethtown College professor Steve Nolt and also Kyle Kopko, right? Those researchers. And so because the population actually doubles every 20 years for Amish people in Pennsylvania, and Lancaster specifically, we're seeing a lot more people and a scarcity almost of farmland. Not to say there are fewer Amish farms than there were before. It's just that there are so many more Amish people there that more of them are now doing things that aren't farming. So that's one of the impacts of a larger population, for one thing. But another is that there are some people leaving the Lancaster settlement to go towards western areas like Littlestown and Adams County, for example, to look for those desirable properties, which happen to be farmlands.
Yeah, Grace, we know that we work on a lot of stories every day. I mean, what caught your eye about this trend and what kind of inspired you to tackle this story?
Yeah, so I was initially interested in looking into some more like traffic data, to be honest. And that's when I talked to Steve Nolt, who is the director of the Young Center for Anabaptist and Pietist Studies at Elizabethtown College. He's also a history and Anabaptist studies professor. And we just got talking in our conversation kind of about that, population growth and what that means. And he said the biggest impact of that, which I found interesting, is that, 2/3 of Pennsylvania's Amish population are now not involved in farming. So, you do see some people looking for more farms in Littlestown, but we're seeing a much bigger percentage of Pennsylvania's Amish population pursue careers and lifestyles off the farm, which is certainly a shift compared to 40 years ago. It was about 90%.
All right. And you mentioned some of those changes. What other changes are you seeing as fewer families they're staying on these farms?
Yeah. So, in terms of Lancaster and the Lancaster settlement, as we call it, where, it's the nation's biggest settlement of Amish people, first of all, in Lancaster. And one of the results of that is that the people there are having more interaction with non-Amish people. And that's something that Kyle Kopko said is leading to more government interaction that younger Amish people are having in the Lancaster settlement, which is culturally kind of a shift from their traditional values of a separation of government and their, religious lives. So that is something that they're still going to continue to monitor and see if that only happens, inside the Lancaster settlement or where that goes. But he says they're seeing people in the Amish communities now, engage government agencies for things like grants. Or even volunteer opportunities at times, which certainly is new.
And can you tell us what other information do we need to know as if this trend, continues?
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely, like I said, still tracking these numbers. They put out new population data every year or so. So it comes out in, I know this last year, the numbers were according to May. So we'll continue to see how that trends, flows essentially. But in the meantime, when I spoke to Kopko, he had just said, first of all, before I even get to that, this story is something that has gotten a lot of reaction online since we posted it. You can see the article here that was posted onto Facebook has several comments and people saying, they're glad that families are moving to Adams County and that they're staying there. But Kyle Kopko mentions, anytime you have new people move to a new place, there are sometimes bound to be those tensions. But he stressed that, Amish people are not backwards people. Any misconceptions that people often tend to have about them, that they're uneducated or, not an advanced members of society, is simply untrue. And it's interesting because I actually got to get in contact with the Littlestown mayor, who said that this is something that they're noticing, more people coming in. And they did initially have some complaints about horse and buggy traffic and stuff like that. But after kind of sitting down with everybody, they all got to see eye to eye. And she said, ultimately, their community's been very accepting of these new Amish families.
All right, and that kind of led to my next question. You actually answered that for us. I mean, is there anything else that, kind of shocked you? Anything that's alarming as you were working on the story and putting it all together?
I wouldn't say necessarily alarming. I just think it's interesting to kind of see and follow, such a large demographic of people in Pennsylvania who don't often have a spot in news coverage, and whether that's because they don't want to, or different cultural ideas there. Certainly, I just personally hope that these communities continue to welcome people with open arms, and it seems like we should see, um, you know, evidence of how communities are dealing with this.
And Grace, does your article get into what research says about the future of the Amish communities in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so the researchers I spoke to, it seems that the population, in recent years, and likely seems that it will continue to still kind of steadily increase. And they see that the Amish population doubles every 20 years or so. So it does seem that potentially it could be on track to continue to do so. And one of the reasons for that growth, they said, is because Amish families are having more kids, and those kids are staying in the Amish communities. They're not, breaking out of that. So that kind of pattern is fulfilling that population growth, and we should obviously still see more of that as they continue to track that data.
All right, Grace. Well, thank you so much for breaking that all down for us. That was all the questions I had for you, unless there's anything else that you wanted to add that you feel would be essential before we wrap things up.
No, nothing specific, Kennedy. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, guys. Again, you can catch Grace's full article. It's uploaded now on our website, cbs21.com. There it is for you right there. We'll see you back at the next 21 Next.